All right, Jody. It says we are live. That's what it says.
Yes.
So let's trust that we are.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Can-Am Connection. As always, before we begin, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to this channel.
Exactly. And we got to thank some of my sponsors, one of them being Supplement King Portage La Prairie. We will be forever fueled by Supplement King Portage La Prairie. So
nice.
Thanks to them. We also got Western Survivor Beef Jerky. And of course, Uno 5 Equipment, which if you haven't tried one of their tables, I will tell you that, in my opinion, they are the best arm wrestling table in the world.
Nice.
And they weigh about 200 pounds. So there's that too.
Ouch.
And if you haven't subscribed to Jody's channel, momentarily, there will be a link that you can go and do that.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah. So, Jody, how's the week been, man? How's things going?
Pretty good. I had a good practice on Saturday. I actually, if you guys look up my YouTube page, my YouTube channel, it's there. It was basically just somebody asked me a while back, I think it was last week, and they said, "Hey, well, what are your practices like?" I said, "Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll get the guys together on Saturday morning, which we train every Saturday, and I'll just film it live, just a little over an hour, just set the tripod, hit record. It was just random people pulling that kind of stuff. There were some matches. There were some teaching moments. There's all kind of variety of stuff. The bad thing is that it took forever to upload. And I think I'll go in half-hour increments next time around because that was just, I went to a movie. I went to go see the new Batman with my wife and son, and it was still uploading. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I think I'll just go a half hour next time.
I'll tell you, I watched some of that practice. I haven't seen all of it because it's a lengthy video.
Yes.
But I appreciate that it's not just a practice where, guys are gripping and ripping and beating the shit out of each other, that you actually take the time to coach and train these guys.
Yeah. I know years ago, or when our team first formed, it was a bunch of mini practices, and it was like, you know what, we're not really getting anything out of it. And then you take that, and that's how we train. So by the time a tournament came around, at best, we were probably 75%. So I said, okay. And that was years ago. Now you revamped, you got some new guys coming in. I want to do this the right way. So I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do here. Now, if you do this, how about that? And I kind of explained to them, if you do it this way, it can work, and here's why. If you do it that way, it won't work, and here's why. So it's more of a teaching method, which I find more attractive now than I did then. Like, it was all about trying to get the win. It's not about that anymore. And I was trying to show other people out there that there are some clubs out there who think that that's what they do. You got to have a mini tournament. That's not the case with us.
Now, on that subject of practice, did you see the Devin Larratt, Matt Mask practice matches?
You know what? I really didn't, because you know what else came up that was kind of glued to the TV too? I was watching the latest Todd Hutchings, Dave Chaffee sparring match.
Well, we'll get to that one in a sec. But on the Devin Larratt match, I was watching Pradeep's channel, and I kind of thought this as I was actually watching it. When I watched the match myself the first time, before I watched Pradeep's show, Arm Wrestling News, shout out to Arm Wrestling News.
Yes.
He made the comment that if Devin is going to have a chance against Levon, Matt shouldn't have been able to move him off of center.
Say what you will about practicing, because, and I'll say this, when Michael Todd last year went on his cross-country trip with the motorhome and his wife and the dogs and everything, Michael allowed people to hit on him, because his thing was like, I want you to get in your best spot. You hit me hard as you can. My goal throughout this whole thing was to stop you and bring you back. So that's how I look at practice, because even if you look back, hell, on my channel, There was a spot where Michael Todd came to Oregon. I drove up 3 hours. You know, we're in the parking lot, Multnomah Falls. Now, granted, right hand, no one could touch him. Cool. Left hand, nobody can really mess with him either. There's a couple of times I kind of got him, but I'm not going to take that as, oh, I can beat Michael Todd left-handed, right? It's just training. He's just training. Maybe it's like John Brzezinski. He'll let you get to your spot. He's working something to where it's like, okay, I'm going to work this and then strengthen that up. So Devin might be doing the same thing.
The issue I have is that, practice is practice. So take everything I say with a grain of salt.
Right.
Matt looked like it wasn't that difficult for him to pull Devin into a position where Devin almost had to be an extended top roll a little bit. That shouldn't be happening when Devin is getting in to the point where he's getting ready to pull Levon, because if he waits until he's over here with Levon, that could be a very, very, very long day. Now, that being said, Matt's got matches coming up too. So who knows what his shape is. I mean, Matt looked phenomenal. And his pronation is probably the best I've ever felt, ever. So it's entirely possible. Go ahead.
Two things to look at it. So Here's Devin. We all know Devin's preparing for Levon. Matt's preparing for Tim Bresnan. And that's next month. So maybe that might have been more for Matt than it has been for Devin. I don't know. Maybe. Because I think Devin was the one that made the trip, to go see Matt. They were, there was a channel where I think it was Matt's channel where they're eating breakfast and stuff, and he went live and they're eating bacon and pancakes and that kind of stuff, and just trying to, get some training. And who knows, that might have been for Matt to get ready for Tim more as Devin getting ready for Levon. It could have been. I mean, but you got to look at the underlying, thing with all that.
Yeah. It's interesting. We have a few comments. Jay Clean says, or very short today for Devin. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it could a long day for the treatment, but definitely could be a short one. But I still think Devin has the ability to beat him, and I'm rooting for him. I mean, it's an underdog story, and it is what it is. Arm Sport Videos in the chat saying, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. Still morning here, Scott."
How you doing,
Scott?
Then
another Arm Wrestling, Devin Larratt, Brzezinski, Levon. That's the name. Arm Wrestling Devin Larratt Brzezinski Levon. Like the video. Let's get a live audience going. Thank you, sir. We appreciate the support. And I'm actually rocking my Arm Wrestling Uncensored t-shirt because I saw them commenting on the guys that have worn them, that they sent them out to, that have not put them on yet for their shows.
I need to do that. I need to get a hold of them and go, hey man, how much for a shirt so I can go ahead and rock that on my next show?
Yeah. Anyway, so it was a little concerning for me to see that, but who knows? I mean, the shape that they're in, I mean, maybe I think Matt's actually going to win that match in Vegas too, but he's still not huge. Like he's 235, 240. He's not coming in like a 300-pound Devin Larratt.
But does he need to, though, is the question. Does he really need to?
That's the question, because do we judge Tim based on his best shape, or do we judge him based on what we saw with Derek?
I judged him on the fact that prior to that match with Derek, Tim hadn't pulled in about 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think that was the last Babayev match where, he finally won. And next thing you know, it was like, okay, pandemic hit. He took time off. So did everybody else. And I think the top eight's all but done now. But, on top of that, I mean, he hasn't really trained because it was like, hey, he was getting ready for Prudnik. And then that got put on the back burner multiple times. And so it's kind of hard to stay motivated when you're training for a certain person and they keep canceling, So at that point, there's table rust. I'm sure that happened, Now that he had that Derek match, I'm sure he went back home, did some adjustments. I got Matt Mass now. I got to really, rein it in and, tighten up and get ready for this.
And that's probably what his mindset will be.
Right. Now, the good thing about that for Tim is the fact that Matt's he's not as tall as Derek and not as heavy, so he may be able to stop a hit. I don't know, but I do think Matt hits a lot more aggressive than Derek does.
And it'll be followed up with 5 other hits.
Is Tim's arm going to be able to hold up? And that's why I picked Matt, because he's so aggressive on the table. And it's almost like, those toys with the pull string, It's like you pull the string, he comes back, whack, pull it back, whack, pull it back, whack. He's going to keep doing that until he gets to the pad. Is Tim's arm going to be able to handle all that abuse? And that's match one.
If he stops the first 3 of those, he owns the whole day.
Well, that's the thing. We all know if Matt gets stopped, that's where he tends to get in trouble. We saw when he tried to hit Todd, he didn't get the pin, which I thought one of them might have been close. But when it stopped, it's like, dude, just keep pulling. And then slowly Matt's hand went back like that. I don't think Tim Breslin has the kind of side pressure that Hutchings has, but we all saw when Matt got stopped, that's where you get in trouble. And, and I understand that because I kind of pull like Matt, where we go off that explosive hit. And if we get stopped, now we got to start grinding. So.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Chaffee and Todd Hutchings.
Yes, I was kind of watching this morning as I was doing a back workout, and it was interesting because now that it's like I don't know how far Todd is from Dave, but they're not that far apart where he's gone over there a few times already. So the first time it was just those two. The one over the weekend or whatnot was with Bart Wood was there, and all the rest of Chaffee's teammates, and they're getting after it. And it's like, it's just kind of like, wow, man, they're really getting after it because now here's Chaffee. Okay, now I'm getting ready for April 2nd versus Kurdecha, which we'll get into later. But, you have Todd, and now he's like, well, I'm getting ready for Chance. So you see I like watching that. And people may say, dang, Todd, you're not, it's Dave Chaffee. You're not going to be able to win. Watching those guys just get after it. Like I'm training for Chance, all right, he's getting beat here. Okay, I almost got you. And that's what I love about that because Todd kept coming. I'm not going to give up. Not going to give up.
They will definitely make each other stronger.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you put it in that context where Chaffee is training for Kurdecha, which we'll get into later, and Hutchings training for Chance, it seems like they have the wrong sparring partners.
Yeah.
Because neither one of those guys pull that way.
Right.
They need somebody with a big top roll to come down there and train with them.
I would say if I was Matt Mask, because he has that low hand top roll style that Chance has, longer lever, of course, but I'd say, hey, Ty, why don't you get a hold of Matt Mask or find somebody with that low hand top roll kind of style, because that's what you're going to be facing. Now granted, and I had said on your show before that when Chance went over it against the East versus West, what I saw was interesting because his style kind of threw everybody off. Problem was he didn't have enough side pressure to finish. And I think that's where Chance might get in trouble with next month versus Todd.
Versus the side pressure king.
Yes.
Southeast Masters Arm Wrestling Club is in the house.
What's up, guys?
We got a couple of things we got to get to before we we have a guest coming on. So my opponent this weekend is coming on the show.
Awesome.
However, let's talk about this thing.
Please, let's do this.
The Art of Arm Wrestling, how to win tournaments and influence referees. Now, without giving away the whole book,
right,
which is not very long, took me under an hour to read it. It has some interesting points, and I think it's worth picking up, and I think we should all support any arm wrestler that puts themselves out there in this fashion. Okay?
Yes.
There are a couple of philosophies in the book, and the two that are the main kind of philosophies of the book are excellence over victory versus victory over excellence. Now, the difference being one of them is chasing excellence, one of them is doing what you have to do to secure the win. I feel like the two are in conflict with each other, and the two remain in conflict with each other throughout the book. So the example that he uses in here, one of them is, how important is side of the table at the start of the match? So if we're talking from terms of a strap buckle, do you master all aspects of the sport, excellence, meaning it doesn't matter, you know how to deal with it when you have the wrong side? Or are you chasing victory, and that becomes a point of contention where you need to secure the advantage?
Are we talking the side, the buckle side, right?
Yes. And to
Honestly,
take that a little further, if it's an odd number of matches in a super match, do you automatically take the bad side of that table? Because if there's a tiebreaker, you end up with, pardon me, it's good side, bad side, good side, bad side. Do you want the good side first? Because definitely in the tiebreaker, you're going to end up with the side you want.
well, that's interesting. I got a few things on that. Number one, I got into the sport in 2011 when we still had the Velcro straps. So when we
The
start going to the
USAWA, yeah,
right, when we start going to the buckle straps and the metal D rings, all that kind of stuff, then there wasn't an issue. I think now it's so mental because people made it an issue that they don't want I don't want the buckle on my side. It's just before I never noticed a difference until someone actually broke it down. But even then, it's like, you know, and I hate to beat up on Artem because I love the guy. I know he can come off arrogant, but here's my thing. Last year, at the Ruler of the Nation, the Waxahachie weirdo camera guy thing, I beat Artem, and we pulled left and right. My 2 wins on Artem, one left, one right. I was on the same side of the table, which meant here's the head ref. I'm pulling right-handed. I won, but you on the left side. Here's the head ref. I pulled left-handed. I had the buckle, and I still won. I don't really think it matters. Honestly, I really don't.
Well, I will give you an extreme example. And the problem with the only issue I have with the book is it seems to support both of those philosophies at the same time.
Yeah.
Throughout, it flips back and forth a little bit. Otherwise, the book is good. I mean, it's definitely something someone should read. You should take in as much information and data as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I specifically remember at UAWL 9, which was the Mike Gould Classic, John Berzank versus Matt Mask.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so abundantly clear to me that John had a massive advantage every single time Matt had the buckle. And John would try to not slip otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But when the buckle was on Matt's side, John was dominating the match. When it wasn't, not so much.
Right.
Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think Matt actually did get a win or something there throughout that super match.
I think John actually won 3 too. It came down to the last one. I think that was for the UAWL belt. Honestly, that was the last Mike Gould Classic, wasn't it? I believe.
Yes, it was.
And for us US people is UAL 9, by the way. But there's also been a conversation on how to position your hand if you do have the buckle on your side.
Yeah,
they've talked about that. I don't know if he explains it in the book, but
he does. He actually does.
I have a book, right? The last book I bought, arm wrestling wise, is sitting right here. And let me, matter of fact, you know James Rederitis?
I have that book as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I call the Bible, folks. You know? This is what I call, what is it? Strong Arm Tactics, right?
Yeah.
James Rederitis, right? That's the last book I bought. And, you know, I think that it's the Bible to me. So yes, I support James. Yeah, at some point I'll get Artem's book. You know, I'll thumb through it and stuff. It's always some good reading when I got some downtime. So that's interesting that he says that with the winning and excellence, that kind of stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a solid read. It's an easy read. Pick it up, support the sport. And yeah, Artem's been pumping out content forever. So
nice.
Now, we got just a few minutes before our guest jumps in here, but let's chat about Vitaly Laletin is out. He is out, and one can only assume that it's because Russians are not going to have the easiest time traveling right now.
No, and maybe for safety reasons. They made a joke on Uncle John's show because Uncle John said that my guest is Artem. I'm not going to tell you where he's from because it was a joking thing, you know, but he's a Floridan. He has citizenship here. But I think from a safety standpoint, if somebody were to come out of Russia and go somewhere, I'm not sure they get the best greeting because of what's going on. Not that it's Vitaly's fault. I don't think whatever Vladimir Putin's doing, him and his soldiers have nothing to do with Vitaly. I think it's unfortunate. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy Dave is pulling, on April 2nd versus Alex, but it bears the question, okay, now what does the Vitaly do now? Because now the whole world's been wanting to see this match, to see who's the bona fide number 2 guy leading up to, Levon, or the winner of Levon and Laletin. And yeah, now we won't be able to see it. And now here's Vitaly sitting on the sideline once again going, what am I supposed to do?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we don't know. And, going after Russian citizens outside of the country, or even ones traveling, makes about as much sense as American Asians being assaulted during the pandemic.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense at all. It's not them.
Right.
But it is what it is. And I wish him the best, and hopefully he can travel soon. But he probably is on the shelf for a meaningful amount of time.
And the thing about it, it's not really it's not injury related. And that's what, just like, oh my God, you can't just sit there, you cringe, because our arm wrestling is starting to get back to where it needs to be, and then this happens,
Do you think it could also be money related? Because their currency is in the tank, and it's going to cost a lot of money for him to get anywhere as well.
Where was that match going to be held at again?
Dubai.
Okay.
Assuming though that, but I mean, transferring money in and out of Russia is almost impossible.
True.
Yeah. Maybe if he left, he would just stay gone.
Yeah. I mean, that's a possibility, I mean, it's sad that what's going on over there. And I really, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Now, considering that, I have a question in the chat. We'll see here in a sec, but we got Dave Chaffee stepping up. So, it's not going to answer the question. Well, it might answer the question. It's not going to answer the question we were hoping to have answered, which is, how good is Kurdecha really? If Dave goes over there and pulls him and Kurdecha smokes him, and we'll all just think that Kurdecha is right where we thought he was, but we still have questions. If Dave pulls out the win, which I think he's not favored to do, but if he does manage to get the win, then Kurdecha goes down a few pegs. It's risky for Alex.
Yeah, but this is what I love about Alex. It's like, I'm willing to pull anybody. I want to show everybody that, hey, I'm not ducking nobody. I love that attitude, right?
He's the man. He is the man. I have nothing but respect for that guy. I mean, not only did he kick my ass, but he took that match. He's not dodged anyone. He's taken hard match after hard match, and he's come out, amazing at the end of them. And this one, I mean, I'm intrigued. And they've also bumped the event back a week. So that's something that I also picked up listening to Pradeep, is that they delayed it a week, which shouldn't be a huge factor. But I mean, when you're switching around main events and stuff, it's good to accommodate the competitors. I'm assuming that's what happened.
Here's a question, Ryan. I know we talked about rankings last week, but if two scenarios, one, if Alex does win, does he become the number 2 guy by default? Because he's been nothing but pulling. Vitaly hasn't, even prior to this issue with Russia, he hasn't really pulled. Alex has. He's been going up this ladder, and now all of a sudden, if he happens to beat Dave, is he the number 2 guy by default? That's the first of a 2-part question.
Okay, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he goes ahead of Alex, and he maybe goes up a couple notches, but Alex falls in behind him somewhere.
No. If Alex wins.
Oh, if Alex wins.
Yeah.
No, I don't think the rankings move.
Right. Because my other question is that I think if Dave pulls this out, do you think everything's at an even playing field? Because we got so many people. He won, but he lost to that person, who in turn lost to that person, who in turn beat that person.
Well, let's not forget, we also have Gennady pulling Chaffee at some point in the near future.
Oh, they're going to run that back, huh?
Yeah. I don't have all the dates nailed down, but I mean, it's super interesting, the way it's all shaking out here.
Right.
So I'll answer this question and then I'll let the guy in that's in our waiting room.
All right.
Southeast Smasher says, are you going to test your right arm on Saturday? A little bit, a little tiny bit. I pulled that practice that I had here last week. And the issue I'm having is that while my arm is strong, anyone trying to roll my wrist out can do that relatively easily. So when someone tears something and they have it reattached somewhere, generally that person comes away stronger because it's a shorter or a better lever now.
Right.
Mine was never reattached, so it actually attached in the opposite way farther up. Ooh. It's scarred down in there, so it actually makes my wrist weaker when it recovers. So I have work to do, but I'll mess around. My hand is still good. My back pressure is still good. We'll see what happens.
Right. Be careful.
Maybe I'll let Big Ben plow into my arm a few times and see if he can pin me. But anyway, let's let Kyle Rayner in the room here.
Let's do it.
And while he's joining here, Jody, I mean, Kyle's coming out this weekend, and he's going to be pulling me with the left arm, and he's going to be pulling with Ben Clausen on the right.
Oh, nice.
Ben Clausen, for those that don't know, is like one of the big up and coming super heavyweight guys in Manitoba. He could be the next guy to take control of delivery at the door. That's why the dogs are barking. He could be the next guy to take control of the scene here in Manitoba. And big hopes for him when it comes to provincials and nationals.
How much does he weigh?
I believe he's around 240, 250, but with room to grow.
Gotcha.
Like, I think he's taller than me, or at least close. Kyle, can you hear me?
I can, sir.
All right. You got no video.
How do I fix that? Hold on. Wonder why. Not sure why. Oh, start video. Here we go.
There you go.
There we are.
Look at the size of that guy, Jody. Jody Williams, Kyle Rayner.
How you doing, Kyle?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. That's a big dude. You see the shoulders on that guy? Wow.
It's intimidating. That's my opponent for Saturday.
That's all.
So, Kyle,
Yeah.
Man, how long has it been since I've seen you? It's been a tournament before the pandemic.
It'll be 3 years in November, I think.
Yeah, my wife's in the chat says, don't get mad when you see my packages at the door. And she's interrupting my show by people knocking. So there you go. I'm already mad. So, Kyle, tell us a little bit about your arm wrestling history and what you got coming up.
Well, I don't have a ton of experience. Obviously, the pandemic kind of put a kibosh on that. I've been trying to make it to nationals, but nationals haven't been happening. So I've been to, we'll say, 4 tournaments, 3 legitimate tournaments. One was kind of an amateur thing that I started off with, and I've done fairly well so far. I won the right hand amateur, right and left hand amateur, the sword tournament in Winnipeg there. And then I finished, I think, 2nd or 3rd on the left arm and maybe 4th on the right arm. That was the tournament I met you at. I won this Thunder Bay Slam Fest tournament right-handed. I got 2nd left-handed. And just recently in Tweed, I was 2nd place right and 3rd place left to Pork Chop and Big Rick. So
that's a good lineup.
That's a little bit of good experience. I've been training with Jay for quite a while now, maybe coming up on 3 years, and just looking for more experience. Honestly, that's the name of the game here, I think.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, when he says Jay, he means Jason Dubray. And is Paul Ballew's training with you guys?
He is off and on here and there. He had some health issues that he had to deal with, but he's been back the last, we'll say 5 or 6 practices.
Okay. And strongman, you got quite a history in that too.
A little bit, yeah. That's kind of where my strength sport origins kind of came from. I was top 10 in North America twice, top 10 in Canada, maybe 7 or 8 times, something like that. The most Ontario strongest man podium finishes without winning an Ontario strongest man. I think I got about 7 or 8. So always second or third place, never number one. So that's my Ontario strongman. But I've been around the strength game for 15 years and, kind of left my mark on it, and happy to move on to arm wrestling. There's a little bit less risk as opposed to blowing my back or knees out. So that's why I kind of took this sport on. And, it's just a broken arm if it breaks. So that was kind of my mentality.
Well, that's a great mentality. Jody, you're going to say something?
Well, I was going to say, when you have guys such as yourself that cross over from strongman and powerlifting and they morph into our sport, it kind of brings a different dynamic, like, okay, they got the strength now. And it's always exciting because when you have guys like yourself, or here in the States, you got, Brian Allen, Mega Mike, those guys have a strength background. So you already know they have that. And once they get this technical step of arm wrestling down, it's going to be exciting matches. But I think the one thing that you pointed out that's really sticks in my mind is the fact that it's a lot less injury to deal with in arm wrestling. You can last longer in this sport as opposed to strongman. I mean, you don't have to worry about your joints in your knees or your back or anything like that. You can just really focus on the waist up. And like I said, you can last longer in the sport. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
What do you got coming up, Kyle? What do you got coming up?
About you, buddy. I've been thinking about you every day for the last month. Basically, the matches in Winnipeg this weekend coming up, and then nationals are kind of my focus. I've been saying I want to get on the podium at the national level, and that's kind of my main goal. Seeing where I'm at against you is going to be a huge eye opener. I'm sure I'm really looking forward to it. Whether it goes semi even, or if you blow me away 4 times, I'm going to know where I stand in the end of that. So it's nothing like going against the best. I found that with strongman too. Every time I competed against the absolute best in the sport, it was always it let you know exactly where you were at. So I'm excited for this weekend coming up, and excited for nationals in July.
Well, that's kind of the cool thing is we get to compete, but the other cool thing is where I think the first match up on the card. So which is fantastic. We can just get there, get it done, and enjoy ourselves after we watch the rest of the matches, which also include a match with you pulling Ben Clausen.
Yep.
And Southeast Smashers Arm Wrestling Club says, yep, you got me on the right when you came back from the B side, and most definitely going to get that win back. So is that actually Ben?
I don't know if I pulled Ben in the tournament. Maybe I did.
Okay.
Came through Thunder Bay, and he pulled us here maybe I want to say 8 months ago.
Okay.
He was definitely strong, a little bit different technique than I'm used to pulling against. So we don't have any flop pressers here. So he uses that flop press quite often, from what I remember anyway, in training. So
wow.
It was different to feel that, but interesting nonetheless. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. It's going to be a great day. It's Billy Berg at Southeast Smashers.
Yeah,
he's going to come back and get you. So Matthew Schultz says Andrew Grant, Ben Clausen, Jason Dubray, Chris Smith, Kyle Rayner, lots of strong arms Saturday. So we're going to be down there in Morris, Manitoba, getting after it. And out of respect for you, Kyle, I'm actually taking a full week of rest for this. So I'm not training right up to it. So you'll get a good version of me.
I want the best, man. Bring it.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Older amount apart.
I'm sure you'll do just fine, my man. I'm sure you'll do just fine.
So Kyle, what does your normal training regimen consist of?
Well, I actually recently just hired an Olympic track and field coach because speed was kind of my issue. I'm really strong, but the technique and the speed was a problem. So I asked this Olympic track coach, shout out to Tony Risling from Risling Podium Performance in Ottawa, to help me with my explosive power and my speed on the table, and applying his training principles to arm wrestling instead of track and field. So it's been a fun month of training. Basically, I'm on the table Tuesdays with the team, and then Mondays I train legs. I still keep a little bit of that kind of powerlifting stuff involved. Wednesdays through Sunday, basically, I train another body part and my hands and wrists almost every day. So there's some kind of hand wrist cupping or fingers or, pronation, some kind of involvement to almost every single day.
Yes.
I'm pretty, I'm pretty good with pull-ups and stuff like that. Even at I'm about 280 pounds right now, I can do maybe 100 pounds over my body weight for 4 or 5 reps. So pretty strong with the pull-ups.
Jesus.
Ryan is over there sweating, Kyle.
Yeah.
I underestimated that estimate by about 40%. So
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's anything I can do to get stronger between now and Saturday other than rest. So it's going to be what it will be. What's that?
I'm going to be resting too.
Yeah, that's good.
Is anybody going live with the event?
I intend to actually go live on this channel. And I think it starts at noon on Saturday. Is that right, Kyle?
Hopefully.
It'll start when it starts, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to at least try to get a few matches on this channel live and then maybe edit them down. If I can't go live, I'll record them and we'll put them on later, but we'll see. I'll do what I can. I'm told there's really good Wi-Fi there and I'll be able to hook up and just go live with it and bring my tripod and do the thing.
Good. I'll be curious to see that match just so I can kind of see, because you said you're 280, Kyle. How tall are you?
6'2".
Okay. I'm just trying to get a visual because right now I just see you from the picture, but I'm just trying to get a visual to the table and just kind of see, because you look wide and big. So I'd be kind of curious, how you stack up. And I'm looking forward to it because for a guy of your stature, strong as hell, you're always working your hand and wrist. I'm a big person of hand and wrist. So when you do all that kind of stuff, it's going to present maybe a challenge for Ryan. Like, okay, Ryan, he knows he's not going to be a guy to sleep on, SB. So, he's coming with everything. And the always dangerous guys are the ones who have nothing to lose. Those are always ones that you got to look out for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I feel like I have to win. So the pressure is on, but I have a number of super matches coming up and I want to go through the season winning, not loss after loss after loss. Yeah. So Monster Michael Todd is next, but I'm only concentrating on this match for right now.
There you go. One more question I had, Kyle, and this is kind of off topic. How do you stack up with Pork Chop?
It was close. I beat him on the right hand and he beat me on the left. I'm a right bowler originally. Like I'm not a left-handed dominant, but he beat me on the left. He got me, if I remember right, he got me inside pretty quick, which I don't, at the time, in October, I wasn't as good at the hook as I am now. And he's a phenomenal hooker. That's his game, right? Little short, stubby kind of guy he is. So he got me inside and it didn't last long. It was a quick match. It was over fast, but I had just pulled Rick before Pork Chop. So I was we kind of had the same thing happen. So he had pulled Rick before me on the right and I beat him on the right. Then I pulled Rick before him on the left and he beat me on the left. So you know how tournament pulling goes. You can get a little fatigued. You can get beat up if we have a big match right before, the next one. And I think if I remember right, he had 0 rest on the right hand and I had 0 rest. Like we were the next guy at the table. It was like the semifinals or whatever. So we didn't even get to leave the table between matches. We got the 1 minute grace period and that was it. So I lost fairly quickly on the left hand, but I won fairly quickly on the right.
What you're telling me is that you guys need to run that back fresh for fresh to
Agreed.
see, okay, where do I really stand? Because like you said, with tournaments, where'd you go, Kyle?
One second, a phone call here.
Oh, okay.
You can still hear us though.
Okay. What I was saying is that it sounds like you said, a tournament, there's so many variables. So let's just go ahead and go, okay, how about this? Pork Chop, you and I are fresh for fresh. There's no Rick as a wild card to throw a monkey wrench in our little thing here and just see where it goes. That'd be kind of interesting to see how you guys stack up in actual, matchup.
I would love to have another match with Pork Chop. He was a real good sport. We had a lot of fun. I went to that tournament with only pulling him in mind. I knew he was going to be there. I trained for him. I don't think he knew I was coming. He didn't really know who I was at the time. I had messaged him on Instagram and didn't get a reply. So I went there with the sole mission of beating him, and it worked out in my favor on one side, not so much on the other. So that was fun.
Oh, he knows who you are now.
Oh yeah, we talk quite often now. So I'd have to have another match with him anytime.
Nice.
I know he is very interested in competing with me at some point in the future. and he's coming to nationals for that purpose, I think.
Yeah, he says I'm in a bigger weight class, so I'm excited.
What is you guys' weight class at nationals? Just curious.
110 kilos and over, which is 243 pounds and up.
Okay, I kind of figured that.
Yeah. So Stevie Diamond, there's a comment or question in the chat. He says, coming from boxing/BJJ, I love the techniques of arm wrestling. Have done weights a bit, but I feel like the table makes you stronger. Is that just me? What do y'all think?
Depends on how you use your power, you know. And when you got these massive, strong guys that come to the sport, and I could be wrong, and Kyle, maybe you can chime in. Let's just say power lifter, right? Where you guys used to pushing the weight, not so much pulling. So I think sometimes, and we'll use Larry Wheels as an example, right? You can just look at that guy and know, okay, that guy got some serious power. But if the technique's not there and you just know how to use his strength, it won't matter. So Kyle, shed some light on that, you know?
I think, when I first walked into the sport, I got absolutely destroyed by guys that were, half my size, literally, because I was bigger than. I came out of strongman. I was almost 330 pounds, and my wrist and hand were extremely weak. Like strongman, you're never actually using a cupping style wrist position or anything like that. I had a really strong brachialis, but that was it. And the difference that I find between arm wrestling and strongman that'll always remain is that gravity only pulls one direction. The weight is always going down. Whereas arm wrestling, it's completely unpredictable. Your opponent might push, might pull, might post, might cup. You know what I mean? You don't know which direction to apply your power at any one given time. And when that changes direction, it doesn't matter how strong you are. If you don't change direction with it, you're toast either way. So the biggest problem, I think, for the really strong guys is they get focused on, I know for me, I was always focused on pulling one direction.
Right.
And okay, if I'm strong in the brack, I'm only going to pull with my brack. Well, if somebody's going this way, when you're pulling this way, you're not stopping it at all. And it makes you look extremely weak, as I did for the first little while when I started arm wrestling with Jason and Chris and some of our club members.
That was a pretty perfect explanation of that. And I think that my 2 cents to add would be the weights trains you in planes of movement, and the table kind of ties them all together.
Yes, exactly.
So coordination is important, but it appears to be that one guy could be dominant over the other if they're just a little bit stronger in a certain path.
Yeah. I would agree. If I were to see Kyle for the first time in person, the first thing I would tell myself, I would not want to go inside with this guy. Just look in. I'm going to, just as my knowledge, I would say, I'm going to see how strong his wrist is and go from there. If I have opportunity to break his wrist from here to there, all it takes is that much, then I have a chance. And I understand somebody who's 5'11", 230, as opposed to what you say, 6'2"?
Yeah.
6'2", 280 on paper. Oh, you're going to win that match, 10 times out of 10. And, like I said, it all depends on where to attack. Like you said, strongman, you guys don't train with your wrists like that, We'll take powerlifters again. How many times you see powerlifters, on the deadlift, and they got all the wrist wraps and all the straps on and stuff where, you're securing that. With us, we focus on this right here. And like I said, that'd be the first thing I would want to do. I mean, if I were to match up with you, which is I'll try to see how strong his wrist is, if it's because your hand can be, Mark Felix, strong as shit, and forearm can be strong as shit. But this little area right here, if this is not strong and it can easily go back that way, I have the outside shot. I mean, that's how I approach it,
100%. When I walked into arm wrestling, I thought, my grip, when I could carry a 330 or 350 pound farmer's carry in my fingers, I thought there's going to be no issues with my grip in arm wrestling. But arm wrestling isn't farmer's carry. Like you said, farmer's carry, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Only straight. The weight's hanging in the fingertips. Well, my fingertips were strong, but if you get bent, now your fingertips aren't strong anymore. You know what I mean? But the guy has leverage on you. So I thought my grip would never be an issue, but it was at the beginning. Big time issue. And good thing that's resolved now. So live and learn.
Hey, Ryan, can we make sure this show goes like on Facebook, whatever, because the way Kyle is explaining this is perfect for all the guys out there who want to cross over to, our sport. Kyle, the way you explain that is just dead on, because
Thank you.
You break it down in detail from what you guys do. Yeah, we're strong up here, but when you're here, then you lose all this over here. The way you explain that makes perfect sense. And I would, anybody who wants to be in our sport that's coming from a strength sport or background should listen to the way you explain that to a T, because I think you got a lot of our guys, and Ryan, you can attest to this, that come in our sport, and yet they're figuring out, well, I'm stronger than you. Why am I not winning this? And I think the way you broke that down speaks volumes, and I wish people would understand that.
Thank you.
I will isolate a clip and put it on there. But
Yeah,
the other thing is the gripper, right? So you grab this gripper and you're doing this.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same concept.
Exactly.
I can crush all this weight. Why do I keep losing at arm wrestling?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we're getting close to the end of our time. So maybe we should put a bow on it right here. What do you guys think?
Sounds good to me. Oh, yes, Kyle. I'm telling you, man. Thank you for coming on the show, because like I said, what you just explained is just to a T. Like, man, that explains a whole lot. And so I wish you gentlemen luck this weekend. Hey, like I said, Ryan, I'll be checking out your channel. I'll have it on in the garage when our team comes over and practices. I'm gonna have it live. Go, okay, here we go. Y'all got to shut the hell up. I'm watching these guys go at it. So can't wait.
We'll do. Well, Matt Schultz said it best. He said, arm wrestling, you say start at noon, then guys roll in at 12:30. So let's plan on 12:30 start time.
I'll just have your channel on, and then, when I start seeing people live, then I'll go ahead and shift my attention to that. So
sounds good. Kyle, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, man.
Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
And I will see you Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. Thanks for joining us.
Don't forget to tune in next week, you guys.
Sounds good.
Take care, everybody.